And now, from the authorities in sports nutrition, it's the EFX Sports Show. And here's your hosts, Dr. Jeff Golini and Brian Andrews.
Well, welcome to the EFX Sports Show. My name is Dr. Jeff Golini, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Brian Andrews.
I am here, sir. It's a great day.
It is a beautiful day today. So we've got an interesting topic we're going to talk about. You know, I shouldn't say every, but most all young kids have a goal of becoming a professional athlete. I think that's what drives them. You know, they watch their heroes and they want to go pro, as we say.
Yeah, you know, and I think any kid who steps on the field at one time, or if you go see your first professional football game, baseball, whatever, you kind of sit there and go, wow, what would it be like to be that guy on the mound pitching, or to have my own baseball card, or have fans, you know, people want you to sign their program, you know, that kind of thing. But hey, right, everything in life starts with a dream.
Absolutely, you know, and I always say that, you know, if you got a dream, you know, you should go for it. So I think, you know, we want to encourage people listening to this. You know, we're going to give some stats and some statistics about going pro, but you should always go for your dream, because you never want to get to a point in life where you look back and go, man, I wonder if I really could have. So always give it a try and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's all about a mindset and being willing to do whatever it takes to pay the price to get there. You know, and I think the reason why this is an important topic, it comes down to, you know, the one hand you say you got to be realistic about things, but you got to also have an understanding of what does it really take to be successful in whatever it is, business, I don't care what it is, your relationships. You got to really have an understanding of what you're up against and who you're up against, right? I mean, that's where reality sets in. But once you've made your mind up, then you can go for it.
And I remember in the old days, I mean, you had to go through the whole collegiate program in order to enter into the draft, where now, you know, kids can get drafted right out of high school. So I want to talk a little bit about, I mean, I would always recommend going to college, because sometimes, you know, your professional athletic career is cut short. I mean, not everybody makes it, unfortunately. We know a lot of guys who played for 2 or 3 years and they didn't make anything. I mean, they probably made more than working at, you know, a fast food restaurant, but, you know, they really didn't make anything. And then if you don't have anything to fall back on. So the NCAA, which is the National Collegiate Athletic Association, it sanctions and it divides colleges into divisions and subdivisions. The different divisions are Division I, Division II, and Division III. Now most kids just know it as D1, D2, or D3. And what I wanted to say is, you know, even though D1 is the largest schools, that doesn't mean if you're a D3 player that you're any less than anyone else. So, you know, don't get hung up about where you go to school, because first of all, you should be going there for education, number one. And if you're lucky enough to get a scholarship, to get a grant for a free education, and all you have to do is play ball, that's awesome. So the D1, you know, is kind of the big schools, you know, Ohio State, Michigan State. There's approximately 350 of these D1 colleges. The D2s are kind of the intermediate schools. I believe schools like Akron, Bowling Green are D2 schools, and there's about 300. The D3 are normally your smaller, your private schools. Rocky Mountain College out here is a D3, so there's a lot of smaller schools. There's about 450 D3 colleges.
Right, so I know the big difference in a lot of those is the D1, D2 offer scholarships, so you can go there, and then you say D3 typically won't have a scholarships, but they do offer grants, that type of thing.
Yeah, you know, they're kind of creative. You know, they call them, sometimes they can call them scholarships, and other times they call them financial packages, which, like I said, include, you know, grants, different work programs, creative financial aid packages, which, you know, again, help kids to play football or your favorite sport at a smaller school also.
Yeah, that's right. And I know, like you said, you know, the emphasis should be on education. I know the NCAA over the years has revised the rules for eligibility, that type of thing, to basically put more and more emphasis on, hey, walking away with a solid degree and not just coming here to play football. I know that was really important to that organization.
Absolutely. I mean, you remember the old days. I mean, there were professional athletes that couldn't even read. I mean,
that's right.
How do you go through high school and 4 years of college and you can't even read? I think those days are long gone. Again, the financial institutions, they take a lot of pride in their student athletes. And I think, the athletes of today you got to be a business guy also. You can't just be an athlete anymore. So you got to be educated in order to run your business because you are a business.
Yeah, that's right. And there's nothing wrong with having a plan B because you may make it all the way to the top and you get injured and you don't have a safety net. I mean, where do you go from there? And we've heard of a lot of guys that either retired or injured that went on to have, tremendous careers in business, or they became coaches themselves. But the key is they were able to move on and still be successful at life, and they didn't tie up their entire identity into, hey, I'm an NFL star, that type of thing.
And kind of getting back to these different divisions, I just wanted to mention, again, how many, according to our statistics, how many students are in each of these divisions. And these are all the student athletes from football to soccer to whatever sport they may have.
Lacrosse.
Yeah, rugby, you name it. So D1, there's 170,000 student athletes a year. In the D2, a little bit lower, there's about 112,000. And on the D3, this is interesting, we got 180,000. So you see there's actually more athletes who attend a D3 school than attend some of these larger schools.
Yeah, and it seems like those numbers do kind of follow along with what you said in the beginning about how many of the D1, D2, and D3 schools, it was 350, then 300, and then 450. But still, that's a lot of kids playing sports. And again, we said that's everything: golf, rugby, lacrosse, women's basketball, men's basketball. It's the whole gamut. But that's a lot of people playing sports.
Well, and the larger schools, they are limited on how many scholarships. So you don't get a lot of non-scholarship people playing in a D1 school. Most of them will go to a D2 or a D3. You get a lot of walk-ons on a D3. Typically, the rosters are a lot larger. Now, NCAA is very strict on, how many people can dress for home games and away games. That doesn't depend on the size of the school, but you normally see bigger rosters on some of the smaller schools.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you got to figure, hey, with that many numbers of athletes out there, they need some good sports products, don't they?
Heck yeah. I mean, again, to compete, at that level. Again, any athlete who makes it out of high school, and I don't care what size school, you are now coming into the elite. If you think about high school, you are the best in your area. When you go to college now, you are the best in the country. I mean, kids from all over attend different schools. It's not like your high school where it's just your local neighborhood. These kids come from all over the USA. Even like our D3 school here, we got a lot of out-of-state kids. So it's not just, Billings kids are playing at this school. So you got to step your game up. You got to get your nutrition in line. You got to get your training. And you need to get on some EFX sports supplements.
Yeah, a little bit of Carbolin action would help, wouldn't it?
Oh, heck yeah. Carbolin on the sidelines, a little Cralclin. But again, that's all about being an athlete, being a business. You got to have all the tools in order to succeed. You wouldn't think about opening a business and going, what, I'm going to do without the internet and I'm not going to have a cell phone. That's just ridiculous. Well, the same thing with an athlete. You just can't give up and discourage and not use the tools that are available for you.
Yeah, no, that would be absolutely foolish. And again, that's a big point. Like I said, we're talking about this topic today just to give people a little sense of reality of what it takes to really become the elite of the elite, because that's really what these people are. The old bell curve. You got, like they say, the freaks on the left and the right. These are the people that are on the far, far, far right that have made it all the way up to the top into the pro level. But it's time to take a break, and when we get back, let's get into the real meat and potatoes. Let's throw some numbers out there so people can get a real grasp of what it means to go pro.
EFX! We all have those times in our life when we need a little extra push. Sometimes our best intentions are just not enough, whether it's in your business, your family life, personal relationships, or your health. This commercial is focused on your health. Our bodies deserve the best. Sometimes we fall short, and that's okay. We're all human. But if you have a goal to lose weight, build muscle, or just simply feel better, there's a local answer. It's EFX Sports. EFX Sports Supplements are some of the highest rated, 100% drug-free supplements available today, and they're manufactured right here in Montana. EFX Sports is known all over the world for its signature products, like Creacolin and their all-natural healthy carb mix Carbolin. You can find all EFX Sports products online at aaefx.com or find them right here in Billings at local stores like Lucky's and Bonanza Health Foods. If you work out at Granite or Yellowstone Fitness, ask for EFX Sports supplements before and after your workout. And if your favorite supermarket doesn't carry EFX Sports yet, ask them today to look into it. For real, drug-free muscle this new year, remember EFX Sports.
Well, welcome back to the EFX Sports Show. Today we're talking about going pro, and we mean becoming a professional athlete. What does it take? Before we went into commercial break, Brian says he's got some statistics for us. How many people actually make it into some of these different sports?
Yeah, and I'm going to cover 5 of the bigger sports that people are familiar with. That's soccer, ice hockey, baseball, basketball, and football. And again, the numbers I'm about to throw out there, I didn't make these up. This is from the NCAA itself. They track all this stuff because they like to know who's doing what. Obviously, with people going through their organization. And just so people understand this too, the numbers I'm going to throw out are basically, the percentages are based on the eligibility to be drafted because, there's some criteria there. And then how many slots are actually available to be drafted into. So that's kind of how those fall. And just so people know too, there are other opportunities to get drafted into, Major League Baseball or the NBA or something like that. It doesn't strictly have to be through the NCAA. Now, these are very rare that it happens that way, but typically the majority are going to go through the D1, D2, D3 school opportunities, if that makes sense. It
does. And I know, talking about just football, one of those other options are, guys get into the Arena Football League. They come out of college, they get on Arena Football team, and I think in 2015, 22 guys went from the IFL into the NFL. So
That's
fantastic. those are some of the other alternatives. Canadian Football League. I know, basketball, there are a lot of European basketball leagues and things. I'm not too familiar with, how the ice hockey and soccer works, but, those are kind of some of the other opportunities. So if you're not quite ready to retire and you still want to be an athlete, there's always some other opportunities that kind of give you that one more chance for a pro scout to take a look at you.
And so we're here. Let's just dive right in. So let's say you got your kid. They start in one of these kind of like neighborhood leagues or the bigger league like AYSO. You have playing soccer, and they that kid, guy or girl, has a dream. I want to be a professional soccer player. Well, this is kind of how it shakes out. So the total amount of high school players, and these stats are roughly about a year to 2, maybe 2 years old, but they still hold. There's 419 kids playing in high school soccer at all levels. That's how many participate. Now, the percentage that go to college and actually play is 5.7% of that pool. I mean, that really thins it out. Just to give you, again, an idea. And then typically the way the numbers work for who is eligible to be drafted, you take about 4 to 4.5%, and that breaks down who is eligible at any given time. They're a senior, that type of thing. Out of that number, it's 5,245.
Wow.
Okay, now the ones that actually go pro, we're talking about making to MLS, 1.4%. So you started at over 400,000 and whittled it down into just a few hundred.
Wow.
Now, again, let's not be discouraging here. I mean, I really hope people see, again, when you see a professional athlete, these are the elite of the elite. These are the best of the best of the best. Kind of like seeing the Olympics and you see a skier or, the people who do whatever sports they do there. These people are at such an exceptionally high level. And I think this helps you kind of appreciate what you're seeing.
You got to be realistic. You can't have a kid that never started a game in his life and, push him thinking that he's going to become a professional athlete. Typically, if you can't be the best of the best in high school, very difficult for you to get into a college and accomplish something unless you're Rudy. Remember the old Rudy movie? But it could happen. I mean, that was a true story.
Can happen.
The guy, he played high school, wasn't very good, and, he made the Notre Dame team. Now, he got in one play. You could be the 1.4%. So, again, it's all depending on, how much work do you want to put into it? I can guarantee you that 1.4 are probably they are the hardest working out of that 417,000. That's why they made it there. Not always your abilities and your gifts get you to the end. It's how hard you're willing to work.
There is no question about it. That's the rule, not the exception at all. Well, here's one. So how about ice hockey? That's obviously not as popular here, say in the States, as some other sports, but it's still big. There's roughly in high school 35,393, and 11.2% of that pool will end up playing at some level in college. Then again, we do say, okay, who's eligible? That leaves about 884. And out of that pool, 6.8 will get drafted into the NHL.
Wow.
So again, it thins way, way out. But now here's another one that's, the great American pastime, baseball. Man, I want to be the next, whoever it is, right? The next best pitcher,
right.
Third baseman, shortstop. In high school, there's 541,054. So let's round it off to 541,000 kids playing baseball in high school. Now they move on to college. Only 6.9% will actually play at the collegiate level. Who's eligible? Well, you do the math, it works out to about 7,400. It's actually 7,429. And out of that pool, 8.6 are going to go to MLB.
Wow.
And again, don't be discouraged. If you make your mind up and we're paying the price, you can get there. But you got to be realistic too. I mean, if you don't have the arm that's what that guy who's going to be the elite pitcher, there's not a whole lot. You can't take any drugs. Nothing's going to push you there. And then what about this one? Basketball, the NBA. In high school, you got to know at any given time, there's 482,000. It's actually 482,629. Now, out of that pool, this is actually pretty slim. How many go on to play in college? Just 3.4. Out of that pool, how many are draft eligible? 4,071. So that's how many people they're going to pull from, just a little over 4,000. From that pool, and again, this is based on the number of slots typically, this is how many are going to make it into the NBA in that year, 1.2%.
Wow.
I mean, that's a thin number there, brother.
And I mean, because the rosters, for a basketball team, there's only 5 people, on the team at one time, where these other sports, you've got double to triple that amount. You can really see in basketball, I mean, these are the elite of the elite. I mean, there's some great players that sometimes can't even make it in the NBA because everybody is so good. And like you said, you got to be healthy. The NBA season is really demanding on these guys. I had heard a few years ago they were considering, kind of cutting back the amount of games, and I'm not sure if that ever came to fruition or not, but it's demanding.
No question about it. Again, I feel for some kids because, their parents want it more than, say, the kid. I mean, I literally have heard of stories of, parents going to their doctors saying, hey, my son's not tall enough. Can you give him growth hormone or anything like that? And it's like, that's ridiculous. Come on.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it ain't just height, right? It's skill, too.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's more to the pie, man, for being successful.
Well, and you know what? Here's the big one. This is the one that I think everyone's going to really go, whoa, hold on a second. Football, right? The NFL. Right now, or say typically in high school, there's more than double of the next biggest, which is baseball. 1,093,234 kids playing football.
Wow.
From that pool, only 6.5% will go on to actually play in college. So you can see that thins out fast. So then when it comes for, who's draft eligible, you do the math and it works out to almost 16,000. It's 15,842. So out of that number, now we're almost at 16,000, only 1.6% will actually make the draft and go into the NFL. That's just staggering, the statistic there. You go from 1 million just down into just a few hundred at best.
Yeah, that is amazing. And, we know, as I said, a lot of guys who were part of that 1.6%. And I remember one gentleman in particular telling us that, typically they'll keep you around for 5 years. You're a practice dummy. You probably aren't going to get in the game. And after that, they cut you loose. So a lot of guys, make it to the NFL. And it looks great on a resume. Hey, you made it. You're 1.6% of the best. But you never really made a career out of it because unless you start or play, you really can't make enough to call it a career,
Sure. Hey, my hat's off to anybody that makes it to that level in any of these sports. I don't care what it is. I mean, the numbers, again, the statistics are just so staggering. Once you do the math and really look at it. And again, I just hope people appreciate this is the elite. This is the best of the best of the best. And on that note, hey, hopefully everybody, takes this information to heart. And again, you're either demotivated or motivated. I hope everybody's in that second one. They're highly motivated. So on that note, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Hope everybody likes what we had to say on this one, and we'll talk to you next time.
We'll catch you later.
Underground in the EFX studio, you've been listening to the EFX Sports Show. Find all the EFX sports supplements and products by logging on to aaefx.com.